Is Michigan on the verge of being mediocre in the Immortan Joe sense of the word, or are they getting ready to turn a corner? I believe this game against Washington is going to tell us. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you believe that Michigan needs to win against Washington on Saturday in Ann Arbor for you to believe that Michigan is not on the verge of becoming, well, mediocre? That is average. That is okay. That is basic. And if you're a Michigan Wolverine, you're probably going, yo, didn't we win the national championship 2 years ago? And haven't we won like 4 out of the last 5 Big Ten championships? Yeah, you have. And I think a lot of this comes back to a number of things, but one of which is the Bryce Underwood part of this, but also the Damon Williams part of this. So let's start with the Bryce Underwood part of this. The thought was that after last year, when it was clear that Sherrone Moore and the staff had missed on Alex Orji as the starting quarterback, as Jack Tuttle as the starting quarterback, they needed to go with Davis Warren as a starting quarterback at Michigan. And it was the 129th ranked offense in FBS. That's really, really awful. Even for a team that doesn't want to throw the ball over the yard. I believe they had like 3,000 yard passers in Michigan history because that's just not what they do. They want to run the football and they want to play defense. When they're doing that very well, they get to go 15-0 and win the national championship in a 14 playoff system. And they beat Ohio State, right? And they beat Washington in the national championship game. They're that good. They beat Alabama, put up a goal line stand against a Jalen Milroe Alabama team that beat Georgia to win the SEC championship. When they're doing what they want to do, they go 40-3 in Big Ten play and 40-3 overall and 29-1 in Big Ten play. They were, for a 5-year stretch there, really, really great. We also have to add that Connor Stalions was on the coaching staff at that time, and Michigan has received an enormous fine for his, shall we say, very liberal reading of the bylaws that prohibit advanced scouting, aka sign stealing. And it seemed that since he was removed from the program, things might have changed a little bit. They certainly didn't change during the 2023 season. Michigan was reprimanded. Harbaugh was reprimanded. They still ran the table. They still beat Ohio State. They still won the national championship. They come back the next year, and it's Sherrone Moore's first year as the head coach. And you expect a first-year head coach, actually his first job as a head coach ever, to have some growing pains. But you don't expect them to be at quarterback. And it was so bad at quarterback that it really felt like an overachievement for Michigan to go 8-5 last year with the win against Ohio State and with the win against Alabama in the ReliaQuest Bowl. However, you thought that going into 2025, the addition of Bryce Underwood mitigates any problems you got at quarterback. Even if you don't have the star-studded wide receivers that, well, are at places like Ohio State or Alabama or Texas, you still were able to be better because you let Bryce Underwood be your best player and you win football games. When he's played really well, they've won. When he's played not so well, they've lost. They lost to Oklahoma on the road. Man didn't even throw for 100 yards in that game. And they lost to USC on the road. The issue here now is that through 6 games, they're 4-2. Last year, through 6 games, they were 4-2. And the ways in which that they want to win football games and their identity as such has not changed since Jim Harbaugh first arrived, even if we don't talk about the first 6 years of mediocre Michigan, which is kind of the point of this. Michigan returning to what it was before Connor Stalions joined the team in 2018, or Michigan becoming some better version of the program that many Wolverines fans believe that it is. I think when you look at Underwood and you know what you have in a true freshman that is dynamic, and I think the best true freshman player in the entire country, you're also seeing an ability to run with the football, but also to throw for 270 yards, being the first guy to do that in 2 years at Michigan with Donovan McCulley and with a number of other players just kind of stepping up. Andrew Marsh being one of them. It's really, really cool to see him playing really well. And then Justice Haynes has been a home run hitter. He's been what Blake Corum was in that last year at Michigan. He can take it the distance at any point. And the way in which they put together their offense, you're going to do that. They're going to squeeze you inside. You're going to miss a fill, and he's going to run right through it all the way to the end zone. I believe now you're going to face a Washington team, though, that has a quarterback of its own in Damon Williams Jr., who is generational. I think the comparison to Kyler Murray is apt. It is a man that can go for 300, 100 anytime he wants. He went for 400. I say anytime he wants, with a caveat here. He went 400 yards passing, 100 yards rushing against Rutgers, 538 total yards, 4 total TDs in that win. And he's done that to literally every team but Ohio State. Nobody has been able to check that dude but the Ohio State defense. Michigan would like to think that it's got the kind of defense that can check that dude, but given the loss that you took to Oklahoma with John Mateer, who's got an athletic quarterback, and the loss that you took to USC, who's got an athletic quarterback, but you got run on with what is essentially the second string tailback in King Miller for 158 on 18 carries. And then Mekhi Lemon does his thing against the defensive backs. Not really Wink Martindale's best play calling performance, but also not his defense's best performance. If you run away from Jayshon Barner and I can continue to just do that, yeah, then that's a great way to win. And I think with Jayshon Barner, you have another generational pass rusher. You have a great dude in man. I mean, when Rod Moore can play, he's a savage center fielder. He's just really good. And then I think about what they also have been able to do at defensive line, knowing that they would lose some really important pieces for themselves. And I think what you are looking for from Michigan in this game is a sign that we are returning to the form that we showed to end the 2023 season. And the reason I put it there is because they had every opportunity to fold after their head coach was suspended for basically what turns out to be half the season for by the NCAA and by the Big Ten. And wasn't even allowed in the building for what was an important win for the program against Maryland, and still managed to win championships. Does this team have that kind of backbone? Does it have that kind of, heart and soul? You got to see Sherrone Moore come out in his blue collar jacket today saying, hey, we're going to work. That's what this is. And I've never thought of the University of Michigan as being a blue collar university. Usually those universities got state as a last name. I hope it works for him. I do. I think that Michigan is a fascinating story, and I think college football is cool when they're good. But being mediocre is kind of what Michigan had been from about 2011-ish to about 2021, and now it feels like they're threatening to return to just being an 8-win, maybe 9-win, maybe 7-win team. And I understand if you're a Wolverine and you just think that that is untenable. But you can start by dispatching Washington, much like Ohio State did, and also remind people, has Ohio State beaten Michigan since, the plague year? And the answer is no.